Hatep Yasar. Welcome to another Outformation Class. Anuki, Marsotat, Nisutat, Nerua, Nafertat, Atumreye.
Anuki, Marsal, Dasut, Ata, Kafreye, Hepetreye, Atumreye.
And we will be teaching tonight's Outformation Class. Tonight's Outformation Class is a continuance of last week's Outformation Class. First and foremost, we would like to give reverence to our master and our guide, Pa Nabab Yanun.
We want to give reference to our master teacher again, Pa Nabab Yanun. And for good measure, again, Hukawan Harar. This particular class that we're going to try to share with the grace of Pa Nabab Yanun, as Mahametet said, is a continuance because it's so very important that we know our people, our kind, our race. And our fellow student teachers were here last week and they did an excellent job to bring forth that information. And it was conveyed to us that we need to try to expound on that or do a continuance of it, because without knowledge of self, of who we are as a people, as a tribe, coming from Natharu, we are lost. So we're going to do our best tonight to bring forth to you that supreme reasoning from Pa Nabab Yanun. Let's begin with one of the sayings that we hear at the opening of many of our classes. Lekum ya karadu im wu-nuwaupu. Jewel of my eyes, I incarnated to you as your warner, as the reformer in the center of all of you, to teach and to accept who I am you. I am the Ancient of Days, called by many attributes over these final days, called a half year or 30 years, then on to the end of their 6,000-year rule of the ignorance. You have another half hour, or what they refer to as 30 years. This is from the very opening of the seventh seal. It is called the first resurrection of the mentally dead, our race, as far back as 1970 AD. Then, as we know, Pa Yanun Nabab, he gave us from 1970 to 2000 AD. That was referred to as the first 30 years or the first half hour, as we were in school as children. At that time, we needed to learn, or we had to understand the religion that was fed to us by those not of our genes. We were fed that over a period of time. Some say 6,000 years, some say 4,000 years. But we know that we were fed the last 400 years from the 1600s, which they refer to as the slave trade time of the Arabs and the Europeans. And all this was spread throughout the Western world of what they refer to as a 400-year enslavement over here in America. This equals, if you add 1600 plus 400 years, it brings you to 2000 AD. This is the end of the Canaanites, their 6,000 years that began from 4000 BC. Listen well, my beloved, for this is the supreme mathematics, the supreme reasoning.
Just to shed a little light on what this particular class is saying, it's called Our Own People, Our Own Race, Our Kind. What Pa Nabab Yanun is expressing is that the Kakazu, the Canaanite, they were given a time to rule. Their time to rule ended in the year 2000 AD. In 1970, that was when the seventh seal was opened. That was the beginning of the breaking of the spell. Pa Nabab Yanun, he came during that time, which was the first half hour, which was 30 years, from 1970 to 2000. That was 30 years. And during that 30 years, he had to teach us religion. He had to slowly feed us religion, because that was the school that we were on, because that's what the Kakasu gave us. They tied into the vine, they're tied into our ancient scriptures, and they pretty much repackaged that outformation or information, and they gave it to us in a manner where we would worship them, where we would call on their dead and bring forth their dead spirit specters and ghouls from the earth. And those same spirit specters and ghouls from the earth would then in turn come into our inner being, because we open up. And remember, Baba said, you open up and you open yourselves up to these forces. And that's what we did for so long in religion. So Pa Nabab Yanun had to spoon feed us each school of thought, each religion, so that way we would know that this is not what is for us. It was as if we were under, I'll say, like a hypnosis. And we thought that our doctor was the Kakasu, the Canaanite. When Baba is saying, no, I came with healing in my wings, Malachi 4:2. I am that medicine which you need. Partake of me. Listen to me, for I will guide you properly. A lot of people want to throw the African culture to the side, and they want to say, oh, well, I'm an Indian, or I'm Panamanian, or I'm Puerto Rican, or whatever. And what Baba is saying is that every race, every Salau began with Africa, with the Nagado. We are the gods, period, point blank. You have people who know this, but they continue to spread that demonic doctrine of we need to worship the white man. The white man is beautiful, or this mixed neutrinoid is beautiful. This is who should be up front. When no, what should be up front is that black woman with that bungee butt, with them big hips, with them big lips, with them big eyes. That's who should be in the front, with that nappy hair, that the comb be popping breaking the stems off of it. That's who we should worship. But over time, what Pa Nabab Yanun has expressed to us, over time, we got away from that. The black woman, she lost her noble right. She lost her divinity because of her love for mankind. So in that, these men or this mankind taught our men, our Nagaru, they taught our men how to, quote unquote, be a man. But that wasn't the way in which our ancestors taught us. Our ancestors taught us to respect our women, to put her on her throne, to keep her on her throne. Because our ancestors knew what come through her triple darkness. Her womb of triple darkness was divinity, was deity. They don't birth that. No other race birthed that. We birth divinity. So what Baba is saying in this first half hour, he had to slowly give us the antidote to wake us up. He had to slowly give it to us because we were so stuck. We needed, he said that from the 1600 when they took us as slaves, that 400 years, they took that 400 years to pretty much brainwash us, wipe away everything that we knew. So then we began to feel the need to want to be accepted. We want to be accepted by other people. So we clinge on to Islam. We clinge on to Christianity. And we drop African. We clinge on to what's this? Yoruba. We clinge on to all these other different Rastafari and all these things because we want to be accepted by someone. And that someone or something that we want acceptance from is the very same thing that is killing us. It's causing the death of our race. So what Baba is saying, wake up. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. These beings have been sleeping in your bed. They tied into your vine. They got into your genetics. And they want to keep doing that because they feel that if they get in your DNA, then guess what? They will gain your soul. They will be reborn through your soul. Ain't that something? For a being to actually think, if they exchange DNA with you, procreate with you, make new life with you, that they could take your soul. But that's exactly what they're doing. And it shows in everything that's going on nowadays with the music, with the entertainers, the actresses and everything. The white boys, they got swag now, what they call swag. Them white boys ain't dorky no more. You know how they say dorky or whatever. Then the black dudes, they wear these sweaters tied around their neck and they have their slacks on and they're standing upright and then they talk like Poindexters and everything. They slowly take our soul and they gain a soul. So Baba is saying, know your origin, know where you come from, so that way you don't have to do that. If you look in, what's the name of the scroll? Ham Seed. It explains who we are, where we're from, our origin. It shows you how they try to take our doctrine, our lineage, and tie into. They tied into it to give their religions a reality, to make their religions real. So then they come up with these different languages. Case in point, the Muslim, they go by the Arabic language, which they don't even know what true Arabic is. But they tied their language from our language. That's where they got it from. And they only took that so that way they could give the Islam faith a reality, because you have to give it a language, you have to give it a culture to make it a reality. But they got their culture, their reality from us, ancient Africa, ancient Egypt.
It's interesting that the master teacher has given us the antidote, which some refer to as religion, which we know means to tie or to bind. So, being the master teacher that he is, he bind us not to their spirits of religion, but to the spirits of our ancestors, as he took us through what we refer to as the different schools of Christism, Mohammedism, and Mosesism. Some say Judaism. But he didn't bind us to those blinding specter forces. He always came giving us that spirit of truth, not the spirit of lies, hypnosis, deception. He gave us the spirit of truth. And it is that spirit that we must gain back. It is that knowledge of self. So now he says that he watched, because they gave us this over a 30-year period. And they watched. What did they watch for? They watched what was coming forth from what they gave us in those schools as we walked and we practiced and we followed the master teacher. What has come forth is here now. Because he said, I've waited so long, we've waited so long for this time right now. And right now, we have our own way of life, not anyone else's religion. And even when we walked in those 30 years with them, we always knew that it was about the children. It was about what was coming forth. It was about our culture. It was about wu-nuwaupu. It was about Nuwaupians. It was about Africa for Africans. That's always been his message. Always. He always gave of himself. So we see that he says they waited. He waited and they watched for this time right now. And this time right now we're living in. And he's going to be free. He is free. Our own salvation is in wu-nuwaupu. Their salvation is in wu-nuwaupu. There is no other salvation. Their salvation is based upon them realizing and giving respect back to the mothers and fathers of civilization, to us, the creators. They know that. It is the kakasu who does not want to bear witness, but his time is up. That is something that he has to do. It's Pana Bab Yanun said, we have what is called wu-nuwaupu, and we have what is called nuwaupu, or Nuwaupians. We have our own language, Nuwaupu-yi, and we have our place or our land, Nuwapia. Mahamutet, she made it clear that they are in hopes of gaining a soul because they have none. They are in hopes of us believing in the lies that they have given us over this 30-year period, over this 6,000 years. But you cannot fool a Nuwaupian now. Not nowadays, can you? Because the truth is with us. We know that truth to be Pa Nabab Yanun, as we say in our language, Pa Sadak Kawan Karanun. The truth is with us, or as they say, the truth with us. So we move through, we understand and we overstand that it is these ghosts or these orbs, these frequencies that they have tried to get us to adhere to, so that we can have that in our head and in our mind and in our bodies, so that we would move away from Africa for Africans, and we will move toward being a hypocrite or not being that which we really are. I know you heard in the last class the other Mursals, they expounded on it, and it's so very important that I must read it word for word. It says, it is that empty feeling after 400 years of nothing or no one, with no culture, no language, no person that makes them accept others' religions as if it were their own. They will say all things and all people are Muslims so that they may submit or be those of peace. But yet we know that the word Muslim does not mean to submit or does not mean one of peace. It means to be safe. We all know that we are not born safe. We are all dependent upon someone. They do not want us to depend upon wu-nuwaupu. They do not want us to depend upon our salafu, our ancestors. They do not want us to depend upon our soul. They want to trick us with the spell of sleep. They want to trick us with the spell of ignorance. They want us to give in to their specter forces.
Just to further add to what my husband was just saying, the Kakazu do not want us to depend upon our own kind, because if we depend upon our own kind, then we begin to live for and by each other. And then their systems that they created go down the drain because they will no longer be needed. So they have to continue to put out the propaganda and the media that this blonde woman, this transparent-skinned female who's thin and sexy, thin lips, or nowadays they got butt, they put this being out as being sexy. She has long hair. She has a long mane down to her buttocks. She got long fur, and she swings it and she throws it. And so they teach us to get perms. So our hair could be long and could be flowing, and it grows down to the ground. When as natural Africans, our hair grows towards the sun. But they put this being in front of us in the media to make our women and men want to be like her or be with her and exchange DNA with her. And it's another sense of the spell. Because the women, what we do, we see on TV, majority of TV is the cockazoo. We see them with the high heels on. They got these high stilettos, and we like, ooh, them some bad shoes you got on, girl. You know, that's what we see. We like, ooh, I gotta have them shoes. Not realizing what those shoes do to our spine as women and have us humped over walking like we're ape men. But we don't see that because why? We throw a little switch. We move our hips with it so we make it look good. That's just the spell. They have spelled us so much that we make the spell look good. We make their evil teachings look good. They also put this woman up front to make our men want to be with her. If now, a lot of men, they want to taste that white water. They want to jump in that white water. They want to see what that's like, because that's that forbidden fruit. But that forbidden fruit is what got us here, what got us to this point to where we're mentally dead. So what Baba is saying now, we're in the final hour. Remember, Panabab Yanun is the man of the hour. So we're in the final hour, the last 30 years, from the year 2000 to the year 2030. This is our transformational hour. We have to purify our DNA as a species. It's not just individually, but we have to purify ourselves as a species. And that's hard to do because after 400 years, their genetics are still within us. We still think like them. We still walk like them. We still eat like them. We still smell like them. We still speak like them. We have to let them go in every sense of the word. Let them go. Drop them. So this is what Baba is saying. He is saying that they're going to continue to feed off you, to drain you, if you allow it. During the first half hour, the first 30 years that Paman Zal has been with us and taught us, he's shown us how to break away from them. And not only just break away from them for the sake of saying I'm not messing with them, but you know why. Because you know who you are, you know where you come from. So in this final hour, this final 30 years, he said, okay, you know right from wrong. So I'm going to give it to you gully. You continue to do what you do, and you're going to be food for the gods. Period, point blank, because that's who they are. That's what they are. That's what they were bred for. So he's saying, let them go. If you don't let them go, you're going to join in and be amongst the regretful. Now is the time for transformation. Baba's giving us wu-nuwaupu to further elevate us. He's continuing to walk us slowly. But now we have to want it. We have to want it now. It's no longer where, I just need to be a part, I need to be accepted. No, now you have to actually take the initiative to be your own deity. To be your own deity and walk with the master, not ahead of the master and not behind the master. You walk with the master. Also, in this study, Paman Zal is expressing how it's the sixth ether sex force that controls the majority of us. And that's why a lot of us are still under the spell. And once again, that encompasses a lot. It encompasses the way we look at each other, the way we dress, the way we look at other races. Once again, going back to the transparent skinned female, the cockazoo female. They're putting her out as if she's sexy. And our men, because of, and not just saying the men, because women are lustful too. Remember, Baba said because of the women exchanging so many DNA with so many beings, they begin to think like a man too. So this does not exclude women. But what he is saying is the men see this creature, because this creature is transforming. She now has curves. She no longer has a flat back. She got curves now. So the men are like, whoa, all right, look at her. She got a little fatty on her. You know, so they attracted to it. So that's that force, that's that sex force. So our women, black women particularly, we try harder to quote unquote keep our men. And that's when we come in, we wearing these tight stuff, and we got all our shapes showing. We got them heels on, and we got our hair doing all whatever they do. That's because of the sixth ether sex force. We want to look sexy. We misconstrue pretty and beautiful with sexy. If we don't feel sexy, we don't feel beautiful. But remember, Pa Nabab Yanun said the art of a woman is to be attractive. He didn't say sexy. He said attractive. But a lot of times, we confuse the two. We confuse attractive with sexy. So our little skirts, our little African skirts get a little tighter. Our little African shirts come up a little further. You know, I'm just saying. But we misconstrue. But it's just those simple things that Baba is saying. Get out of the sex force. Let it go. Sex is an art, and now it's like just pleasure. Just whenever I feel in the mood, let me jump on it. That's not how it's supposed to be. That's not how it's supposed to be. It's sacred. And during this final hour, this final 30 years, this final hour of transformation, we have to get back to that. We have to transform our beings in totality. It's not just cleaning out your system and just speaking wu-nuwaupu and wearing your African attire and coming to class. You got to change every little small detail. Your ego, your pride, your jealousy. Everything has to be in balancement. Baba's not saying you can't have none of that. It has to be in balancement. Imagine if you didn't have no ego at all. You will walk around looking crazy, acting crazy. You have to have everything in balancement. Baba was also expressing how the reason they continue to put out this sex force, this sexual energy, this spell, is because they have nothing to live for anymore. They are in fear of their end. So if they can keep putting this sex force out, and they could continue to get you to exchange your DNA with them, they could live on through you. And they'll be reborn through you, through your DNA, through your soul, through your divine blood.
As you can see, the Master Teacher has given us so much that without him, where would we be? Without that Mother Goddess, where would we be? Where would we be? We just would be, or where would we be? So, as we come to class, our culture is not a class. It's a way of life. And we have to grow or transform into a way of life. Each night, we have things at the temple. And I get ready to come to the temple like everybody else. Is that a way of life? Is that a ritual? Is that wu-nuwaupu? What they're having us to do is play that game. And we can't play that game. Pamanzal, he expressed the worst of us. It's the worst of us that try to go out and convince others, as he used in the example. You get a new religion, come home, you want to tell your mom all about the religion. You want to say you need to dress this way, you need to pray that way, you need to eat these foods, you need to do all of this. But you're wrong. That's not the truth. You come to find out that you're living a lie. You follow me? That is not the way. But you have too much ego and too much pride to admit that I was wrong. So we have to ask ourselves, as to the children of Natharu, are we still under that spell? Are we telling everybody, you need to come to class, you need to learn wu-nuwaupu, you don't need to eat this, you don't need to eat that? Are we still under that spell? Or are we really exchanging African attire, buying the African attire, wearing the Nuwaupuan man outfit, and really wearing that to be a Nuwaupuan man, or wearing the cultural garb of the sisters and really being that sister? Are we really being that? He made it clear that those are the worst of us that do that. So we don't want to be fake Nuwaupians. We don't want to always be seen at the temple doing everything, but really and truly, we're not Nuwaupians. Really and truly, we're not being who we really are. We truly are not proud of self and kind, because it shows up in our spirit and in our soul, in our actions, in our deeds. We're in that final hour. You can't straddle the fence anymore. None of us can. We know that Pa-Nabab Yanun is here, and he's all about business. I know one of the sisters told me from the visit, she said, I like him. I like Yanun. Yanun just my business. So you got to ask yourself, do Chinese people who have their own race, their own deities, their own tones, their own language, their own food, their own clothes, do they come to class for that? So we got to get beyond that, and we have to embrace and live this as a way of life. We have to eat, sleep, and breathe our way of life. By doing that, they don't have any way to get into our spirit, our body, our soul, our clothes, our eyes, our homes, our houses. You follow me? They don't have any way. They're totally cut out. And what they most fear, has been told to us many times, is for you not to believe anything that they say. Don't accept anything that they say. Only accept your own. And that, in the study, it kept coming through that we navigate, or we attract to everything except our own, because we want to be accepted. We have this void in our lives, and now Pa-Nabab Yanun has come along and he's filled that void. Not only in 30 years, but he's going to take it 30 more years. And we have to accept that. It's funny because we'll do everything to accept his way of life so we can feel a certain way. When you feel a certain way, that's your emotional body. That's your soul. When you feel a certain way, you got a certain energy about you, that's your emotional body. So you feel that you want to be Islamic. You feel that you want to be Christian. You feel that you want to speak these Arabic tones and wear the Arabic garb and know some Arabic customs, so you feel accepted amongst them. You just gave your emotional body from your ancestors over to other people who are demons and bloodthirsty people who have done nothing but enslave your ancestors with the slave trade, who were Arabs, some of which were Arabs. And then it got on to the European. So you want to accept that. Now, for a pun on words, some of us didn't even want to be free, but we wanted to accept it. And if the brothers know what I'm saying, we don't need to freely accept anything as the sons of man and the sons of God. So Pa-Nabab Yanun is making it clear in the study. I have to go back to the title of the study. It says, our own people, our race, our own kin, our own tribe. Why would I freely accept to be someone else's son who has a history for the last 6,000 years of doing nothing but destruction to my tribe, to my race, to my people, to my mother, to my children, to everything that we call sacred? That is not our way. That is not Patarak. So we can no longer freely accept. We don't need to accept anything. We need to embrace only that which is from our ancestors, our Salafu. And we're living in a day and time where we have the truth, and the truth is with us. While Muhammad Ted is searching, we must emphasize the master teacher. You know, he's taught us before that there is no Jewish race. Someone calls himself a Jew, and we automatically assume that that's a race of people. Okay? We call ourselves a Muslim. Those are not races. Those are just people that are opinionated, calling it an opinionated religion, a religion that's opinionated. You follow me? It is not a race. We are a race of beings. We are an actual salao that everything came out of. So we can't be confused. Why would you trade your race for a religion? It doesn't make sense. But these are the sense that they gave us that we accept. We can no longer do that as a people. We reject our siblings. We reject our races. We reject all ourselves and our kinds. We reject our tribe. We reject ourselves. We reject our language. We reject our land. We reject our own ancestors. We reject our own deities. We reject our own dress. We reject our own culture. We reject our own birthright. Why do we do that? Because we have too much pride to admit that for many years we were wrong. And we become the worst of people. They hold on to our race because as long as they can keep us into ignorance, they can tie into our spirit. They can tie into our soul. And then they can have us to repeat this same cycle again, but it won't happen this time. The only real truth in life is living, and that is change. They know that they cannot change anymore. It's over for them. There is no reforming the devil. There is no change. There is no transformation. He's stuck. When he dies, he's trapped here. As an old saying, we don't die, we multiply. We're now ether beings. So we can rise. They fall. Whether they fall, they're trapped here in people, places, and things. And we no longer accept their people. We no longer accept their things. And we no longer accept their places. Because we now know our place. We now know our things. And we now know our people. We know now, as the beginning of this study said, who we are as a race, who we are as siblings, who we are as people. And what they want you to do is not live that and not be that. Sure, you have to put on your gardener's clothes and you have to go and do the things that you do. But they know it's something about you. The way you speak when you're on the phone speaking wu-nuwaupu to your wife. What language does he speak? He don't speak like that. He come back and start talking English. You follow? These are the things that they fear. They fear that we don't have to come to their place of business, that we'll have our own. They very much fear that. The master teacher says, the only relief belief they will relinquish, he's saying, which to us seems as only the only relief belief. He's saying that we get relief out of accepting their belief system. If we believe that we are important, that I can come before the congregation and I can have you support what I'm saying, then that gives me a sense of acceptance. That gives me a sense of I'm a good teacher. That gives me a sense of I'm a good preacher. I have a congregation. So in accepting their belief, I gain relief. I feel accepted. I'm important. That's a plot. That's a plot of ego and pride. That's the spell of ignorance, because those are some of the best deceivers. They actually take the information that they know is wrong and they continue to propagate it to their own people, their own race, which are the worst of us. We as Nuwaupians do not want to fall for that. We don't want to be Nuwaupians and tell our people all the truth, and you always find us doing the opposite things, like gossiping, like eating the wrong foods, in the wrong places, wearing the wrong clothes. We don't have that to do. We became diseased, sick, and ill. It was the illusion of trust of the white man. So they always want you to allude to something. Why do you have to allude or be up under an illusion, my brother, when you have the facts? Why do you have to allude to anything if you have the true word? But that's what they do. They package and they fed us these things called a book. That bind, its spell binds you with the book. And they hit you over the head with the book, and they make you hold the book close to your heart, and they make you walk with the book in your hand, They even make you hold up the book and preach about the book. What's sad about the book is that it just binds you. It binds you to never get out of that book. Why do you need a book when it's written in your DNA? One came, his name was Parnabab Yanun, and he came with the truth, and he is the truth, and the truth is with us.
What Parnabab Yanun is doing during this hour, he is helping us to remember what's already within us. So it's up to us to want to remember. Once we remember, it's up to us to apply what we remember. What my husband was saying about the worst of us refuse to apply what they remember. They refuse to change. The only thing constant is change, but they refuse to change because of their ego and their pride. And they have been living this lifestyle, or whatever lifestyle that they have been living for so long. Now this remembrance, this transformation will cause this whole lifestyle to change. You all know, y'all remember when y'all first came into wu-nuwaupu. Some of us was doing our own thing in the streets, but once we got that first scroll, man, it was different. It was a whole new outlook for us. We changed our dress, we changed our diet, our language, we stopped hanging out in clubs, we stopped drinking and all of that stuff. We changed. A lot of people don't want to change. They don't want to change their circle of network, their networking circle. They don't want to change that. And a lot of it is fear. These people fear they're going to lose their job, they're going to lose their commission, they're going to lose their rank in society.
They won't be accepted.
They won't be accepted. These people fear they're going to lose out, they're going to miss out. That this being who puts out this 60th force, this sex force, this cockazoo, is not going to give us what we consider due to us. That's why you have a lot of celebrities who don't come around. They know what Baba put out is real. They know that. But they're not going to give up their fortunes for change. They're not going to do that. Ego, pride. Baba said that's the worst of us. We're living in the final hour, the last 30 years. You got to go all out. You got to go hard or go home. You got to go all out. That's what the transformation is about. You can't half transform and expect to make it back to planet Risk. You can't do that. You have transformed. You're going to be half transformed right here. You know what I'm saying? You got to make a total transformation. You got to really get your mindset into the transformation. So it's just something I wanted to read directly from the study, just to kind of help add to what we were saying. They now live in fear of their very end. So they all seek our mother goddesses to mix with, for our women hold the mitochondrial DNA, the bloodline called the seed, which is in women, our women. While they offer you, black men, their women in the media, cinema, film, TV, plays, sex magazines, books, porn, they implant lust and sex force in men to lust after the image of their women. She is Alice in a Wonderland. She is Snow White with her 7 Celtic leprechauns. She is Cinderella who marries a prince. She is Mary who had a little lamb as white as snow. All to make black men lust after their diseased women, to bring that disease back to our race. the mental disease of self-hate. So you see, we have to let it go. We have to let it go. We can no longer keep up with the Joneses, keep up what's going on the radio, on BET, the TV, whatever. We can't keep up with that stuff. They have to try and keep up with us. That's where we are, because we're going to make the transformation. They have to choose and decide if that's really what they want to do. They have to get out that fear of accepting what they remember, because they know it's in them. Pa-Nabab Yanun, he was expressing how the Kakasu, they implant the mental disease of self-hate, the physical disease of high blood pressure, and so many STDs. The Canaanite Kifiyu, he is your doctor. He has your cure, your belief in blind faith. Take what that doctor give you, even though you can't spell it. He's saying take it. And now see what happened. Your race is sick. Your race is sick with blind faith. He said blind faith in others' religions, looking for a relief in belief.
Yet now, wu-nuwaupu has been returned with healing in its wings.
Malachi 4:2.
Don't reject your own cure to the spell. Take your own medicine and be cured of their religious opinions. Don't let your pride keep you sick. Don't let your greed keep you ill. Don't let your ego keep you diseased. Wu-nuwaupu is the cure. I am your warner with your salvation.
Just want to add a few scrolls that you all can refer to in reference to this lesson. You can refer to Ham Seed. You can refer to Patarak, the argument. You can refer to Let's Set the Record Straight. Because what Baba really wanted us to know in this lesson, who we are. He is stressing that we know who we are. We remember who we are. Because we are a great being. We are a great people. But we just fell from grace. So it's time we have to pick ourselves up. So we're going to go ahead and give the updates from this weekend's visit. This weekend, our Kamamtat, Pa-Nabab Yanun's sister, Kamamtat Nisutat Patawaret Mut Atumreye, and Kamamtat Nisutat Kamamtat.
Number 1, the new president in Egypt is affiliated with the Islamic Brotherhood. The Egyptians just told the Jews that they can't have their Hanukkah this year among other holidays. They can't have it there this year among all the other holidays. Number 2, the Celtics are over in Brazil as well, mixing their seed. Brazilian women are naturally dark, so they are allowing interracial marriages for the reason of mixing their seed. They are allowing this to happen. 3, when extremists threatened the embassy in Libya, all they had to do was get 2 helicopters, and they fly to the back and evacuate the embassy and put the people in the helicopter and fly out. That's all that they had to do. This incident was deliberately caused. 1 was a Marine, 2 were Navy SEALs, and 1 was the ambassador to the United States.
The Sunni and Shiite Muslims are getting together. They took the heads off all the Islamic leaders, for example, Bin Laden and Saddam Hussein, and they thought the violence would stop. But there are others who are waiting in line to come up shouting, Allahu Akbar, that will kill anyone. Successors will just keep coming. The Ghanaian Queen Mother of Cape Coast met with President Obama when President Obama came to Ghana or went to Ghana. She told President Obama that she wants Baba there in Ghana. So President Obama knows who Pa Nabab Yanun is.
As a matter of fact, he knows some of the sisters personally. He be like waving at him when he see. That's right, Kifumut. He says, I remember.
So it's very important that we support President Obama. Why is it that back in the old black and white movies, most men had hair? Now they are mostly bald. Men have weaker genes now that come from their mothers.
Number 7, man, these points, these updates. We really think our Kamamtet, his sister, for going, as well as the Kamamtet for going and bringing us back this Outformation to help us in this time. As all the famous stars of Hollywood's golden age are dying off, for example, Marilyn Monroe, Rock Hudson, Clark Gable, Fred Astaire, Greta Garbo, Grace Kelly, etc., their society is going down as well. So if you look at it, all those famous stars that some of us, I don't know how old y'all are, back in the day, we would see those quote-unquote stars, those white stars, that blinding light. Their society is going away. It's going down. They're dying off. They no longer have that golden age. Now all you see is different stars in and out of jail and on drugs. You don't see that in the past. You don't see that in the past, but that's what you see now. The cinema stars used to have class, so they are fading out. Number 8, all the miracles in the Bible can be done now. Levitation, which was done by Chris Angel, the Immaculate Conception, which is the same as the artificial insemination. Baba says that Gabriel could have been a doctor and injected Mary and others that was considered miracles. Already these things have been done. And that makes the Bible an outdated doctrine. Number 9, the reason the Celtics don't like John Travolta and Tom Cruise is because they are Scientologists and they are not racist. That is why they don't like them. And many other stars, they don't like them and many other stars that participate in Scientology because that keeps that part of their lives hidden by, ascribing to Scientology.
The Celtics really don't like Mitt Romney, but they hate President Obama even more. So they would rather put Romney in to mess up the whole country's economy and let it fall all because of hate. The hate states like Georgia, Alabama, Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi have financial problems. They are called the hate states because they are saturated with active racist haters. Georgia is already bankrupt. The only reason Georgia had any money was because they had a lot of black entertainers, and now they are leaving the state, and many more are leaving the country. Oprah Winfrey had her DNA tested and she found out that she was a member of the South African Zulu nation and is very much involved in Africa now. The TV show Sex in the City sends subliminal messages to women. The women on the show were always talking about high-heel shoes, and they were whoring around with different men. Women became programmed because the stiletto heels women are wearing now came from that show.
Sorry, she want me to do this right. There are 3 types of women. Excuse me. There are 3 different types of women. 1, the survivor. She would go out there and do anything she needed to do to survive, even if she hurt others, not realizing that she was doing it, that she was hurting others. But she would always have what she needs to survive. Those are the successful ones. Number 2, the opportunist. She would get with any man to work her way to the top. She must be walking around with knee pads. Number 3, the scout. She is the one who would scout out someone to take care of them so they don't have to work. A sugar daddy. They're looking for a sugar daddy. They get taken care of and get comfortable and let themselves go until they get old, and then the man looks for someone else. I think you should read the rest.
The black and white panda bear is extinct. Yet, they try to hold on to its survival by breeding and caring for them. They think they are cute, but they are really altering nature. When it is the end of a species' time, their time is up. The Canaanite time is up. They are killing off all the black artists that have our correct tones and sang from their diaphragm because they want to destroy any part of us and have us listen to their tones. Artists such as James Brown, Luther Vandross, Phyllis Hyman, Whitney Houston. There are those who do not have our tones like Patti LaBelle, Dionne Warwick. Toni Braxton had our tones until she messed up.
Read this one together. We're going to try to read this one together. They are sending out frequencies, ready? They are sending out frequencies through cell phones, televisions, and many other electrical appliances.
These frequencies can cause you to do things that you don't normally do. So it is necessary to be aware of self in order to know if you are out of your mind or doing things you normally don't do. So some of us are out of our minds. That concludes the updates. Tawakon. Wadao.